Everybody wants financial freedom, but almost nobody talks about the trade-offs required to get there. Because the truth is, building wealth usually doesn't start with making more money. It starts with giving up a few things that feel normal. And honestly, some of them kind of suck at first. Sophia used to grab a $4 coffee every morning on her way to work. It was a small ritual, one that felt harmless, almost automatic. But the real cost of that habit is not just the money, it's the way our brains get hooked on instant rewards. Neuroscientists call it dopaminergic ramping. Your brain lights up at the thought of a treat, pushing you to act now and worry about the consequences later. That's present bias in action, the same force behind the classic marshmallow test, where kids were promised a bigger treat if they could just wait. Turns out, most adults are not much better at waiting than those kids. A behavioral economist breaks it down. The urge for something right now is hardwired, but the part of your brain that plans for the future, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, can step in and help you pause. That pause is where wealth starts. When Sophia decided to swap her daily coffee run for a home-brewed cup, she was not just saving $4 a day. She was building a new habit, one that felt uncomfortable at first, but grew easier with repetition. Redirecting $120 a month into a simple investment account, Sophia set up an automatic transfer and let it run. Over 30 years, at a 7% average return, that small sacrifice could add up to nearly $145,000. Not bad for a habit swap that stings for a few weeks, then fades into the background. The real friction is not the coffee, it's the feeling of missing out, the social pull of joining friends, the comfort of routine. But once you see the numbers, it's hard to unsee them. This is not about deprivation, it's about trading a quick hit for lasting freedom and realizing that the biggest payoffs come from saying no to what feels easy today. Marcus stared at the email, a promotion, a $1,000 raise each month. For a moment, the possibilities felt endless. New apartment, better restaurants, maybe that designer jacket his friends kept posting about. But then he did something most people never bother with. He ran the numbers. If he let his new income slip into bigger nights out and a slightly nicer car, his life would feel upgraded, but his bank account would not look much different a year from now. Instead, Marcus looked at what would happen if he diverted that entire raise straight into a basic investment account. At a 7% annual return, after 10 years, his monthly $1,000 would stack up to about $173,000. Give it 20 years, and that pile grows to $521,000. That is not just a nicer vacation, that is the difference between working until 70 and walking away a decade earlier. The math is simple, but the choice is brutal: comfort now or freedom later. What tripped Marcus up was not the spreadsheet, it was the group chat blowing up with plans for a weekend getaway. The subtle pressure to celebrate his success with upgrades everyone could see. Lifestyle inflation is not just about spending more, it is about not wanting to feel left out when everyone else is leveling up. The real sacrifice is not the stuff, it is the social friction, the nagging sense that you are missing out. But once you see how many years of freedom are on the line, it is hard to pretend the trade-off does not matter. Aisha and Ben scrolled through endless photos of luxury SUVs before settling on one that looked just right for their new driveway. The monthly payment? $450 a month, about what their friends were spending, and honestly, it felt like a badge of status. When the keys landed in their hands, the dopamine hit was real. The first post racked up 128 likes and a handful of fire emojis. But after the initial rush faded, something else crept in: the pressure to keep up, the stress of another big bill, and the quiet anxiety of hoping nothing else in life went sideways. It is easy to laugh off the idea that a car payment could be holding you back, but the numbers do not lie. That $450 a month, if rerouted into a basic investment account at 7% over 20 years, grows to about $234,000. That is the price tag for driving a status symbol versus quietly buying your own freedom. The trade-off is even sharper when you look at the data. For every uptick in visible spending, savings rates drop. A national study found a negative 0.35 correlation between how much people spend on things others can see and how much they actually save. The more we try to look successful, the less we are able to build real security. What is wild is how little those social signals actually buy us. That post with 128 likes, it was forgotten in a week. The payment stuck around. Aisha and Ben are not alone. Social media is wired to reward the flex, not the follow through. But the emotional drain of keeping up adds up fast, and the opportunity cost is huge. The real sacrifice is not just the car, it is the peace of mind and the options that money could have bought instead. Camilla sat down one Sunday afternoon and opened her bank app, determined to figure out where her money was actually going. She started with subscriptions, music, streaming, meal kits, and a meditation app she had not touched in months. Then she pulled up her food delivery history. It was ugly, $60 here, $30 there, sometimes twice a week. None of it felt extravagant in the moment. But when she added up the numbers, the pattern snapped into focus. Between forgotten subscriptions and delivery fees, she was leaking almost $1,000 a year, money that never felt like a real choice, just the background hum of modern life. The numbers do not lie. U.S. households lose on average between $500 and $800 a year to unused or duplicate subscriptions and delivery surcharges. Some surveys put the waste even higher. Deloitte's 2023 report found people self-reporting over $1,000 a year in subscription fatigue. Camilla's tally landed right in that range. It was not a one-time splurge, it was death by 1,000 tiny cuts. 7 active subscriptions, half of them barely used. Food delivery that added up to $60 a week, mostly for the convenience of not having to plan ahead. The hidden tax of easy now choices was real, and it was eating her future. Canceling those services and cutting back on delivery did not feel heroic. It felt tedious, even a little annoying. But every subscription axed and every skipped delivery freed up cash that could finally move the needle. Camilla rerouted that $1,000 into an automatic investment transfer. Suddenly, she was not just plugging leaks, she was building a system that worked in her favor. The sacrifice was not glamorous, but it was real, and it started with making the invisible visible. Greg hit a breaking point after years of half-hearted budgeting and forgotten transfers. He decided to run a 90-day sprint, one quarter all in, to automate every dollar he could. Each week, he tackled a new piece. First, he set up direct deposit so his paycheck split automatically between checking and investments. Next, he scheduled recurring transfers for every bill. Then he set a fixed weekly amount for groceries and gas. By week 4, his system was running itself. No more logging in to move money or fighting to remember what was left for the month. The grind of daily decisions faded. Behavioral research backs him up. Decision fatigue is real, and the more choices you make, the more likely you are to cave into impulse. Greg's contributions jumped 14% in 3 months, not because he made more money, but because he stopped giving himself the chance to mess it up. Nora, meanwhile, knew her weak spot was impulse shopping, late night scrolling, flash sales, the thrill of hitting buy now. She tried something simple, the 72-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase had to wait 3 days. If she still wanted it after the cool off, she could go for it, no guilt. She paired this with 2 jars on her dresser, one for fun money and one for savings. Every time she skipped an impulse buy, she moved the cash into savings. Over 6 months, her discretionary purchases dropped by 65%. Field studies show that tools like the 72-hour rule and the envelope systems can cut impulse spending by more than half, especially when the system is dead, simple, and visible. Both Greg and Nora prove something most people miss. The right habits do not just slow the leaks, they build a channel straight into your future. Automation and a few guardrails beat willpower every time. Jamal used to chase every hot tip he found online, crypto, meme stocks, whatever promised a shortcut. Some weeks he would win big, most weeks he would lose even bigger. The stress was constant. He would refresh his phone at midnight hoping for a miracle. but the odds were never in his favor. Data from brokerage studies shows that less than 10% of frequent traders even break even after a few years. Most walk away with less than they started and a lot more anxiety. One night, after another roller coaster week, Jamal did something different. He set up an automatic transfer, $500 a month, straight into a broad index fund. No more timing the market, no more chasing the next big thing. He did not get rich overnight, but he started to sleep better. The numbers are simple. Putting $500 a month into an index fund, earning a 7% average return could grow to about $185,000 in 15 years. No guesswork, no hype, just math and patience. Researchers have tracked people like Jamal. Cohort studies show that those who stick to delayed gratification, who can wait even when it is hard, end up with higher incomes and more savings than those always chasing the next windfall. It is not about being perfect. It is about playing the odds. The disciplined path is not flashy, but it is the one with a real shot at lasting wealth. Letting go of get-rich-quick fantasies is tough, but the relief of no longer gambling with your future is worth it. Right now, most people still trade long-term freedom for short-term comfort without even realizing it. The hard truth? Wealth isn't about luck or hustle. It is about choosing what matters over what is easy. The system rewards those who outthink it, not outspend it, ready to play the long game.